Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Riding. I'm a teacher candidate at Queen's University and with Science Rendezvous Kingston. In this segment, we're going to be learning about the groundbreaking prospector, Lucille Hall Hunter. Born in 1878 in Michigan in the United States, Lucille Hall would become one of the early pioneers of the Yukon. In the late 1800s, as word of the Klondike Gold Rush reached Lucille, then only 19 years old, she and her husband Charles Hunter began to set out from Michigan to travel to the Canadian Yukon. There was good reason for Lucille and Charles to come to Canada in 1897. Although getting to the Yukon would be a great challenge, perhaps it was no worse than the cultural conditions that the Hunters were living in, surviving racial violence and the oppression of black people in North America. Although the Yukon was no paradise of equity, Lucille and her husband, dreaming of striking it rich in the Klondike Gold Rush, headed north. But the difficult journey through the United States to the Canadian border may have been the easy part. Lucille and her family chose to take the uneasy Stikine River route, setting out from the lawless town of Wrangell. All of the routes to the Yukon goldfields were difficult, and the stampeders of the Stikine route would face a hard journey by boat and dog sled in the extreme Canadian winter, and journey by foot on a road that was largely non-existent. As by spring, writes Pierre Burton, the whole country was a great marsh, and half of those who had come this far began to turn back. Nevertheless, Lucille at 19 was an incredibly resilient individual, as something else was making the journey more difficult. Lucille was pregnant and quite far along. Surviving the Stikine, she delivered her baby daughter in the lakeside town of Teslin. Lucille and her family made it to Dawson City in 1898, arriving before most of the thousands of stampeders who were to come. The Hunter family staked 3 claims at Bonanza Creek, and while taking care of their daughter, Lucille worked at the hard manual labor of digging for gold. The family lived for a time at Grand Forks, a community that quickly ballooned to a population of about 10,000 during the gold rush. Far into the wilderness, the town had stores, businesses, and a municipal government. In the 1901 census, there was an estimated 30,000 white people living in the Yukon, compared to only 99 black people. In the Yukon, for Lucille, representation was rare, being simultaneously black and a woman. The Hunter family was among those who earned enough income to make the Yukon their home for the rest of their lives. Later, the family would move to the village of Mayo and stake silver claims, and mining would become the family business. Lucille, at the age of 65, maintained her life as a miner when her husband passed away by walking the entire distance from Dawson to Mayo and back again, because she did not drive but had to be present on her land to maintain legal ownership. As time passed, as the gold was mined, depleted, and most miners drift away, Lucille moved to Whitehorse in 1942 and opened a laundry tent to service residents and laborers. Lucille lived in a house on her own and collected things that she liked. When this house unfortunately burned down, Lucille moved to a basement apartment and would continue to receive guests and listen to her radio until her passing in 1973 at the age of 93. Lucille Hunter lived life on her own terms, and as a black woman she survived extreme prejudice. The legacy of Miss Lucille Hall Hunter is of adventure and resiliency throughout her remarkable life as a prospector and miner.